Hey Sai.
Hey.
So we're in the middle of a badminton court. Thomas Cup just got over and you're still hooked on your mobile. What's keeping you busy?
Well, you know, you can never say no to a game of Ludo.
Especially if it's on MPL.
Exactly.
Staying true to that.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
welcome to Bits to Billions, the unicorn story. Great to have you on the show.
Likewise.
And it must have been a busy season for you. So, you know, Sai Srinivas is the founder of Mobile Premier League, one of India's leading esports and skill gaming platforms, which incidentally also counts Virat Kohli as an investor and brand ambassador.
Yes.
So this must be one of the busiest seasons for you, IPL.
Absolutely.
Or has it been a little lackluster because, you know, viewership has been down this year? So has that impacted the top of the funnel effect that you guys usually get?
No, I think, see, this year IPL was a little bit, you know, up and down, but because we are a platform, we actually saw a lot of other activity in the sense there were a lot of players playing other games. Of course, the viewership being down automatically has a little impact on some of the cricket-led properties on the app, but everything else was pretty good.
Right. In fact, you know, I was just going through some numbers and it's pretty staggering. India is the world's largest market for mobile games, some 840 million installs, and the overall number of gamers has gone up to like 450 million just in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And you guys have 90 million users, I believe. Now, you know, a lot of sectors got this pandemic shot in the arm when people were sitting at home and, you know, kind of gaming. I also played Ludo a lot during that period.
Wonderful.
But do you think it will continue post-pandemic because people are going to offices, kids are going back to school? What is this going to mean for businesses like yours?
See, I think pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, the engagement might go down. For example, in the pandemic, maybe you were playing 10 games a day. Maybe now you would probably play like, you know, 3 or 4, but you'll still play. I mean, it's impossible that people don't play. People will play, right? It's just a function of how much they play in a day. That's what we are seeing also, right? The amount of time people were engaged, that was very high during the pandemic, obviously because you were at home and there was very little that people could do. But now that it's over, people have a lot of other things to do. So they also play games, but you see amount of engagement on weekdays much lesser than what it was. Yeah.
Right. And what's the mix like for you between casual games, fantasy sport, real money games?
Yeah,
where do people come the most? Or do they try out casual games and then...
Yeah, so for us, fantasy is like less than, I'd say, 20%. Even during IPL times, it probably gets to about 20. If not, it's usually less than 20%. Most of our players actually come and participate in casual games. And then they kind of find their own niches. Like, for example, some people might come try a game of Ludo and then end up trying a puzzle game. Some people might come and play a puzzle game and then end up, you know, playing a game of bridge. So it's like a shopping mall, right? You know, you think of going and buying a pair of socks, but you'll end up buying a pair of socks and also probably have a cola and then eat something and then go back home. So it's a little bit like that. Yeah.
Were you always a gamer growing up? Did you spend a lot of time in front of your PlayStation?
Yes.
Is that why you perhaps
Not
built
PlayStation
something?
actually, not PlayStation. I remember my dad had actually taken me to Palika Bazaar in Delhi, and we got this 8-bit Nintendo, right, which is like on which you could play Contra and Mario. So yeah, I used to play a lot of that. And then of course, once you're in engineering college, I think even if you're not a gamer, you automatically speak to so many other gamers, and you know, it's a part of life.
That's where the magic kind of...
Yeah, and then Zynga, of course.
What's your favorite game?
My favorite game of all time would be Portal. It's this really nice puzzle come first-person shooter game. My second favorite game is actually 8-ball pool. It's a very simple game, but you know, it's got so much depth in it.
And what's the most popular game on MPL? I remember when I first
was Ludo.
Exploring a platform, you know, the first things I would do is play that fruit slice, where the fruit just gets, you know, severed into
But now it's Ludo. Now
it's Ludo.
Yeah, Ludo is like the official pastime for India, you know, after cricket.
Okay. Yeah. And what real sport do you like? Is badminton one of them?
Badminton is my number one. Yeah, badminton is my number one sport. Yeah.
Do you think people will play real sport if they play just on the mobile? Do you think a transition can happen?
I think it will automatically happen, right? It's like the more people will at least get introduced to the sport, right? I mean, for example, if you want to play any sport, there's a lot of activation energy needed. Like you need to go to the court, or you need to get out into the playground. You need to, like I'm waiting for my partner now to come play a game of badminton. You got to do so many things. But on a mobile phone, you don't need to do all that, right? It's then and there, right? So it at least introduces people to the sport. Then it's up to them whether they want to play it or not, right?
Yeah, talking of partners, I think Krishna's right there,
yes,
waiting for you.
Yes.
So maybe you can enjoy a game of badminton and then we can come back.
Done, 100%. Well played.
Hey Sai, good game.
Hey, absolutely.
It's all the more exciting watching badminton after the Thomas Cup
I agree.
win. It's just exhilarating to be on a badminton court after that.
I agree.
We saw play, but let's talk about paying. For the longest time, gamers or mobile game development companies in India used to say that Indians don't really like paying to play games. Do you think that's true? Do you think that's changing? Because some people we've spoken to say that, it is changing gradually, that people are willing to pay to play. Are you seeing that happen on your platform as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Indians are now very actively paying. I'll give you an example, right? I think we can all agree that Indians love to pay for movies. We all pay, right?
Yeah.
I think last year and the year before, the highest grossing game in India in that year earned more than the highest grossing movie.
Okay.
So there's no bigger proof to say that, whether people pay or not now. Yeah.
Monetization that way is
100%.
not a... But MPL is also a unicorn, a startup that, doesn't have just India-specific ambitions.
Yeah.
You're in Indonesia, you've expanded to Europe, you made an acquisition, you're also big on the US. So, what's your vision for MPL? Is it going to be like, a global mobile app coming from India? Is that going to be the vision?
The vision for the global, app is very simple, right? Like a Sai sitting out of Bangalore should be able to play in a tournament with, say, a Chris sitting out of New York against a Kai sitting out of Berlin. So, it should be like a global arena.
Global esport.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you can just pick up a phone irrespective of which city or town you're in, and you're able to play with anyone else in the world. And that's what we want to do. And that's, I think, it's very tough to get there, but once you get there, I think the ROI is insane. And that's what MPL is out to be.
You also recently, announced Mayhem Studio, which I think is a big bet for you. So tell us what this AAA is. How is it going to change the landscape?
I think, let me put it this way, right? Like India has such great movie studios that produce world-class movies, right? And all these movie studios now has put Indian movie industry right there. I think we need similar things in gaming, where we actually produce our own world-class games, which when you look at it, you'd be like, hey, this could be from anywhere in the world. This could be from Korea, this could be from a US, this could be from Europe. But you know what? We have the talent now in India to make that happen in India. And with Mayhem, that's what we're trying to do. Our goal is to produce world-class games, zero compromise games from India for the world. From India, first for India, but then for the world.
The kind of talent that you see in India for gaming, do they come from small towns, large towns, smaller cities?
They come from everywhere. And the thing with gaming talent is, unlike other talent, gaming talent is not only motivated by money. People make games because they want to make games. It's a little like movies, right? People make movies even
for
though
the love of it.
Yes, even though it pays very little, people still do it. They struggle so much. It's the same with gaming. And in that way, I think there's so many folks in India now who are playing games. I'm sure the next generation will create even more game developers because they're all in it to actually make really good games. Yeah.
Right now, China is the world leader, right? When it comes, I think you remember. I think you said recently that Web3 is where India can win, just like how China won in Web2, the internet. So, can India really become the gaming hub of the world?
I think India can totally become the gaming hub. Like, for example, if you look at movies, after Hollywood, I think the most vibrant and the largest industry is in India, right? Every state in India has a really large movie industry. That's how much we like stories and that's how much we like entertainment, right?
Yeah, I mean, just look at RRR and
Exactly,
KGF.
exactly, right? So, I mean, and games are just the next evolution. So if it's happened in movies, if it's happened in like, TV shows and OTTs, it's just a matter of time before it happens in games. Because if you like Indian stories, games are just stories that are living. So you would want those stories to be played out there as well, right? So that's how I look at it.
Right. So is this how you typically unwind, like a game of badminton in the morning before you go to the mobile Premier League game?
100%. More often than not, I kind of like try to beat Krishna. So yes, if I've beaten him, then I have a good day, a happy day. If not, slightly more frustrated.
So maybe
day.
you should play with him over the weekends rather than the week.
Yeah, I think so too.
Sai's vision to make India the gaming hub of the world is not unthinkable. India is currently the largest market for game downloads across the world with over 840 million installs. The gaming industry has grown from 150 million gamers to 450 million gamers in the last 2.5 years, accelerated by people staying indoors due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Affordable devices, cheap data and easy payment modes like UPI also gave it a shot in the arm. This has triggered a boom that helps startups like Mobile Premier League or MPL. Founded by Sai Srinivas and Shubh Malhotra in 2018, it joined India's startup unicorn club in September last year, with its valuation zooming to 2.3 billion and counts Virat Kohli as an investor and brand ambassador. Srinivas and Malhotra, graduates of IIT Kanpur and BITS Pilani respectively, previously founded Creo together, which was later acquired by Hike Messenger in 2017. The Bengaluru-based Unicorns platform hosts virtual tournaments across more than 70 games and claims to have over 85 million users across India, Indonesia and the United States. Sai Srinivas, a second-time entrepreneur, aims to make MPL the underlying platform for people to play competitive tournaments in any game, with ambitions to also design world-class games from India. Even your first job out of campus was unconventional, right? You joined as PM, a product manager in a small company.
Yes.
And not one of those headline consulting firms or
I'm very
banks
lucky. I'm very lucky.
You're
very
okay.
lucky. Because back then, product management was not a very well-established career. In fact, nobody knew what product management was, right? Product management is now becoming a little more popular. So I ended up joining a small startup in Delhi as a product manager, and we built this really nice product. It was quite amazing. And then after that, I landed up at Zynga as a game designer.
All of us have very fond memories of Farmville.
Yes, exactly, right? And that was for me the real, how do I put it? That was the real place where I learned what it means to actually build and manage products, because Zynga then was probably, it was a melting pot of talent. You had the best artists, you had the best game designers, the best product
And I think
managers.
a lot of gaming startups in India came from that
100%.
pool, right? The Zynga.
In fact, you can take Moonfrog, for example, take Play Simple, us here. All of us were at Zynga back then. It was a very, very unique experience for me to have seen all those things way ahead of their time, and in a way that kind of showed me how powerful gaming is in terms of both as a business model and in terms of a way in which you can craft products, beautiful products to life. And if you look at gaming when compared to any other industry, take e-commerce for example, you don't go to Amazon just like that. You go to Amazon or Flipkart because you want to buy something.
It's very transactional.
Yes, because you can be, but gaming, there's no reason for you to come play a game. But you still do, right? And that's the beauty of gaming, because you're building a product where every day you need to ensure that, you're building something new and you're making something new happen, which keeps the users excited to use the product. And that rigor is something I learned at Zynga. Yeah.
Right. So how many employees are currently coming to work? Because at least, going by the office here, it seems pretty buzzy today.
Yeah,
It's good to see people back at work.
Yeah.
But are you having trouble?
Of course I'm having trouble, getting people back to office. I think a month and a half or 2 months back, we sent an email saying that you have to at least come to office like 3 days a week. And, 2 days after that people came. But then after that again, people, kind of extended liberties and they started working from home. But yeah, I hope that by say June, July, I think we'll get at least 60 to 70% of the folks back to office. But with engineers, we are being very liberal in the sense that if you're an individual contributor, then we don't mind wherever you're working from. But anyone in managerial roles or business roles, they have to come to office. It's important, like having FaceTime is very important, right? Yeah.
Let's in fact talk to someone who's at work, Shubh, who's the co-founder of MPL. Thank you so much. Welcome to Bits to Billions.
Same here.
And did you have trouble getting him back to work as well, or?
No. He was quite excited to come back to the office. Yeah, he was excited about we had the new office made last year,
Right.
the second half, so we were quite excited to come back to office.
Right. So this is actually your second venture together as co-founders, right? But where did you all meet? Because you went to IIT Kanpur and then Zynga, and you had a different trajectory. You went to BITS Pilani.
Yes.
And then you worked for Capillary Technologies.
Yes.
So where did the twain kind of?
I think both will have a different story, but I'll take a stab at it. I think back in 2012 or something like that. I think I was 4 years into Capillary, and I got the itch to kind of go out and build something, build a product or build a company. And I think Sai was also having the same itch at the same point of time, and there were some common friends. I think the journey was very simple. It's like there's a tech guy, there's a product guy. Let's go build something. It's as simple as that.
So tech guy, product.
That's how it worked out. The story before that, how I first time met him is that when I moved to Bangalore from Delhi, I actually crashed
Apparently
it.
you moved to Bangalore because you couldn't take Delhi's heat.
Yes.
Very smart move considering the heat.
100%. Like right now, I think it's even more crazy, right? But yeah, when I moved to Bangalore, I actually kind of crashed at his place for like the first 10-12 days before I found my own place. So that was the first time I actually had met him. But this particular thing, when it was about a year and a half after that, so when we said, hey, you know what, let's go start something. Yeah.
What did your first startup teach you that you kind of implemented in your second startup? Because your first startup, I think it was there for like, I think 2-3 years before, you sold to Hike Messenger, and you guys worked at Hike and then started up. So what did you learn from the first startup that, helped you scale MPL and build a more enduring company?
So I think my main learning was that bytes are far more easier than atoms. So because we were doing hardware is like real hardware, right? I mean, and hardware is very difficult. Bytes is pure software. So it's like shipping software is way more easier than building a hardware product. And all the respect to everyone in the world who are making hardware products, it's very difficult. If you make one mistake in hardware, right, there is, you have to redo the entire thing. But if you make a mistake in software, you can just fix
a bug
fix
that
the bug.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
I think that's my first learning. I think Shubh, you want to?
Yeah, I think I'll add the business learning. So we are just like kind of complementing each other with respect to that. I think the one was like, let's build a product, let's build a business which can turn revenue very quickly. Because just like hardware, I mean, things were slow. When it comes to revenue, when you're trying to build hardware startups, I think with digital startups, you can hit revenue faster. So I think both of us are very, very particular about the fact that we would want to build a company, we would want to build a business at the end of the day, and not just
gaming,
a
was it because of your background in Zynga? You felt like you could do something better?
Yeah, and also gaming is one of those businesses where revenue realization is very fast. So we didn't want to, so one of the other rules which we set for ourselves was that we didn't want to build a business where, we were going to say, hey, we'll make revenue 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line. We were very clear, even if you make 10 rupees, that's fine, but we got to make it while
on day one.
On day one.
Yeah.
And that was very important for us because.
Yeah, and I think the other thing side that I feel about MPL, that it's almost like an amusement park for online games. When you enter it and you can play this or you can play that or you can play something else. Again, was that something that you learned from Zynga? You shouldn't be focused just on one game for all your revenues, because that might trip you up once the interest
100%.
goes down.
100%. I think at Zynga, the one thing which everybody used to say always, and every good game designer there used to say always, is that every game, like a movie, will have its initial peak.
And then it will
eventually die.
Yeah.
Every game dies.
And we've
right?
seen this with Angry Birds,
Every
with
game.
Mario.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing that they used to always say is that the platforms don't die. For example, even though the games died, you still use a Sony PlayStation, you still use an Xbox. These are platforms. They are always there, right? So we wanted to build a platform from.
So MPL will be that platform on top of which you can play free, paying, fantasy,
everything. Yeah.
Anything. Okay. Revenue you've said, but profitability. When do you see MPL becoming profitable?
See, I think in terms of our business scale, I think in terms of revenue, we make very meaningful amounts of revenue, right? I think we are the fastest to have crossed $100 million of revenue. I mean, fastest or amongst the fastest in India. Our focus has always been that we are still 3.5, 4 years old, which is the reason why we actively wanted to invest in, some of the other stuff that we're doing, be it US or for that matter, be it the AAA studio that we recently announced. But in terms of the India business, I think India business is already on course to EBITDA. I think our India business should be EBITDA neutral by the end of the year, or in fact start making EBITDA by the end of the year. What that leaves us is only the US business, where we are still actively investing and we're growing. So India business, I think, will very meaningfully start generating money for us, by the end of the year. So there's no problems
And
there.
what's the mood like these days in the startup universe? Because from the outside, it seems like it's gloom, doom.
course.
Winter has already come.
Of course.
People are struggling to raise funds.
Yeah.
People are, laying off. What's the mood like within MPL?
I think
Tough times ahead.
No, I think, see, it will be foolish of us to say that, it's going to be hunky-dory. Last year, if people were being given BMWs, I think this year they've been taken away. So it's, I think, it is, see, the market is very demanding now.
Also, Sai, what plans do you have? I mean, it's a wrong time to ask this for cryptos and NFTs, because, you seem to follow that space pretty closely, and gaming seems to be a natural kind of destination for that in terms of tokens and everything. So what role do you see MPL playing as far as crypto NFT is concerned?
You were absolutely right that gaming is the default destination for NFTs to exist, and because virtual goods in gaming have been existing for like the past 20 years, right? I think what we see is going to happen is that, say, tomorrow there will be a game, right? Maybe a year or 2 or 3 down the line, where say a Sai sitting in the US wants to buy this virtual good or a helmet that Chandra in Bangalore while playing the game has mined, and I say I want this helmet, and Chandra says, hey, you got to buy this. If you want to buy this, helmet, you got to pay me like say $1,000 or $5,000 for this, right? And I'll pay you that $5,000. You will add customs, import, all the stuff is done, and then that helmet moves from you to me in that game, and I can start using that helmet in the game. That's where this is all going to, in our opinion, and we believe that games will now start adding true value to people's life, and which is what we've always said, right? We've always said earn money and be recognized by playing games. That's been our core mission.
Who's the better gamer between the two?
It depends on the game, right? Like, if it's badminton, then obviously I'm the better. I play better.
On the mobile game.
I think both of us are very bad.
Yeah. He's right actually. He's right. On the mobile phone, actually both of us are bad, because we our generation is the generation that kind of moved from PC to mobile.
You're not digital native, so to speak.
Mobile.
Native.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But I think depending on the kind of game. So if it's a first-person shooter, I think he'd do a better job. But if it's FIFA or more like a pool or one of these games, then I'd probably do much better than him. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
One question that people keep asking when it comes to online gaming firms is the ethics of it, the legality of it. There's often this question, is it gaming or is it gambling? How do you deal with these questions? Because you're constantly throwing the number at people who are watching the screen, right? That if you play, you will win this much, play, you will win that much. So how do you cope with the criticism that comes from it? That you're pushing people to play for money, and people might get into cycles of debt, borrow money and play games.
See, I think first of all, this argument of say ethics and morality, I think it's applicable to almost any industry out there, right? And the thing with gaming is that gaming is more so in your face. So people tend to, it's something which is more in there, out there, it's advertisers and so on and so forth, right? But it's there with every industry, right? You talk about social media, you talk about, OTT. There's so much negativity in any industry, right? But the most important thing is the way to deal with this is 2 things, right? First of all, ensuring that you are providing the user with complete control, and you are ensuring that you're putting fair gameplay or should I say responsible gaming guidelines across the board. For example, within MPL, right, we have very clear responsible gaming guidelines that we even adhere to, where we stop the user after a point, where the user can actively say that I don't want to play beyond this, and then the user can't reset it. So if you
where they have a cooling off period, so they don't keep
exactly
playing and losing money.
More than losing money, it's also time, right? You want to spend only half an hour maybe, right? Spend half an hour and you're done. See, but the thing is, this has got nothing to do with one player in the industry or one app or one sector. Okay, you played games for an hour. Now nobody's stopping you from going and wasting like the next 6 hours on YouTube or Netflix or something else, right? So I think at the end of the day, this is not going to happen with you trying to put curbs, by curbing it. It'll happen by you educating the market, you sensitizing the market that, hey, you know what, at the end of the day, this is for fun. Have fun, enjoy, compete, right? Play it for the competition, but don't do it in a way where it's kind of harmful, or should I say destructive for yourself. We do a lot of work in educating our users. We in fact have very, very strong guidelines where we push for this. It's in the app itself. You can check it out. And we also actively are pushing all the other colleagues of ours in the gaming industry to also start implementing some of this. But in terms of, say, for me, this criticism, I think every criticism is an opportunity, to be honest, right? When someone's criticizing you, or for that matter the industry, for something, I think that's an opportunity for the industry.
What do you think can be done from a regulatory perspective? Will a central regulation actually work? Because gambling is a state subject. So again, is that going to be a problem for you going forward?
Sure. See, I think firstly, there's gambling, and then there's game of skill. Like for example, if two people are playing a game of chess, or two people are playing a game of pool, right, and they're participating with an entry fee, I don't think that's gambling at all, right? If both of us were to be playing a game of roulette, then maybe yes, it is gambling, right? It's like back in the day when we were kids, we used to have these cricket teams, right? We used to make these cricket teams, and we all used to pay an entry fee to register our team in a cricket tournament, right? The winning team of the tournament used to take a bigger prize. That's exactly what MPL is doing for virtual video games. So if that is okay when you're playing a physical game of cricket, why is that not okay when you're playing a virtual game? I think it's the same thing. I think the last 1.5 years has been a watershed moment for skill gaming in India. There have been multiple times the court has upheld the fact that skill games are a fundamental right, and multiple times the court has reversed the decision to ban games or should I say ban skill gaming in certain states. And I think now it's come down to a point where even, say, the central government has acknowledged this fact that gaming is such a big industry, and they've set up the AVGC committee at the center, which is now trying to formulate these rules. Now, gambling is a state subject, 100%, but skill gaming comes more so under the IT ministry, or for that matter Ministry of Sports, or whichever ministry that the central government can decide. And it can have a very uniform regulation for it across the country. Because the way I look at it is that this is an industry that essentially can make India a really robust gaming powerhouse.
And here to stay, despite the fact that you're actually not available on the Google Play Store, you have to go via the browser or the App Store. Are you okay with that limitation even going forward?
I think there's some things, it doesn't matter whether we are okay with it or not.
You have to live with it.
But the fact of the matter is, if you look at it, the 3 largest gaming companies in India,
which is Dream11, MPL and Games 24/7.
All of our products are thriving outside of the Play Store, right? I always keep saying this. It's honestly a question that Google should look in the mirror and ask itself, more than us, that if so many successful businesses are being built outside of the Play Store, like who's being holier than thou here? Is it us, or is it Google, right? And I think it's important that Google and the Play Store realizes that they have to abide by the law of the land. And if the law of the land states that skill gaming is allowed and skill gaming people can use, then they should enable them on the Play Store.
Sai, it's been quite a journey for you from Hyderabad to Kanpur to Bengaluru, and now building a global company. What keeps you rooted or anchors you? Because you're in Bellandur, which in a sense is the startup hub, surrounded by various startups. lot of talk on funds, valuation all the time. What keeps you sane?
I think a large part of it is that my friend circle and the people I hang out with hasn't really changed. I kind of still have my same old friends from college, still have the same old friends that I knew from before starting this company, and even when we started this company. I think we all lead a very, very normal, simple lifestyle, and I think that continues to stay even till date. I think we take a lot of pride in building and building good products and building good businesses, and hopefully these businesses can stand the test of time and become great. So I think for me, ensuring that I keep and stay with these people and continue to hang with these people means that it reminds me that, hey, you know what, you've just had, how do I put it, I've just had a lot of instances where I was at the right place at the right time. I think people sometimes overestimate their abilities and underestimate the importance of luck. I think all of the people who are successful in whichever capacity, right? I mean, pretty much all the founders.
So it takes skills and luck.
Yes, 100%. It
Just
always
like the
does.
world of gaming.
Yes, it always does, and I'm very grateful to have had that luck in my life to be at the right place at the right time. So, yeah, just knowing that I think should keep you grounded.
Right. Let me end then with a rapid fire round.
Sure.
Just a few questions to you,
Sure.
and we can wrap with that. Favorite game?
Portal.
Offline game or online game?
Offline game I think would be badminton. If you ask a board game, then I think it would be this game called Splendor. It's a card game.
Rummy or caroms?
Rummy.
How much time do you spend every day on gaming?
I think about half an hour to 45 minutes, yeah.
Favorite gaming device?
Favorite gaming device would be my mobile phone.
Dream game which you would like MPL to have?
On the platform?
Yeah.
I think it would be Brawl Stars from Supercell, yeah.
Hyderabad or Bangalore?
That's a tough one. Bangalore's weather, but everything else Hyderabad.
On that note, thank you so much, Sai, for talking to us.
Thank you so much. Yeah.